I actually stumbled across the inspiration for stone hearts absolutely by chance. It was kind of early on when I was doing the research for this project, and just kind of walking around town and exploring, trying to get lost, trying to go down streets I'd never been down before. And I was meeting a friend for lunch. And so on my way to meet this friend, I spotted this little side road that I'd never been down before. And wandered down there and found this kind of beautiful row of terraced houses I didn't know was there. So, took a wander down, and as I looked, I started to notice that on the brickwork there were a lot of hearts carved into the brickwork, and with dates and initials next to them. And as I looked a bit closer, I could see that they were going back a long way. Some of the oldest ones were from like the 1860s, but then I could see ones going right up to the 1970s, and then they seemed to stop. And so it just really intrigued me of like, why has this row of buildings for over 100 years had people carving hearts and initials into it on what just seems like a kind of fairly idyllic little side street. And so, yeah, I kind of started to try and find out about these buildings and what their function was, and who lived there. And I was actually helped out quite a lot by a historian at St John's College who actually owned the houses and built the houses for their staff. Basically, that's where they were initially built. The land that these houses were built on actually used to be a royal palace where two kings of England were born. One of them being the famous Richard the Lionheart, who incidentally never spoke English. He only ever spoke French, which I think is quite interesting for an English king, to have only ever spoken French, never spoke a word of English. But anyway, this palace eventually fell into disrepair and was demolished, and these houses sprang up at some point in the 1800s built for workers at St John's College. And yeah, I've never been able to find out. I wonder if we'll ever know why so many of these hearts and initials were carved into the buildings. But it's a mystery that I find intriguing, and it's another, like, it's one of those hidden memorials for people that who knows whose initials are left there and why. Did they live happily ever after, or did they split up? Some of the hearts are crossed out, and I think actually there's a couple of the later ones that have kind of rude words written next to them, as if maybe they went through a breakup or something, and whoever wrote them decided to delete them. But yeah, the stone hearts is it's a little register of some of the romances that have taken place in the city.